Tonight on the program, the aftermath and backlash over Thailand's deportation of Uyghurs back to China. Then the drug theft scam among civil servants explained. And we talk to a veteran activist on the advancements of women's rights.
สวัสดีค่ะ I'm Nad Bunag and welcome to This Week with Thai PBS World. All eyes are on Thailand following the deportation of 40 Uyghurs back to China, which has attracted widespread condemnation from the international community. Things have gone worse as Thai politicians engage in a war of words over letters claimed to have been written by the Uyghurs. Here's a recap of how it all unfolded. These were the headlines in the international media when Thailand deported 40 Uyghurs who had been held for over 11 years in a detention center back to China last Thursday. The decision sparked outrage in the international community, raising concerns of human rights violations and that the Uyghurs would face persecutions upon their return. Prime Minister Pattongthai Shinawatra claimed that all 40 Uyghurs agreed to return home and that the Thai government has complied with human rights principles and international practices. She also claimed that no other country had agreed to accept them for resettlement. Fair Party MP Kanawi Srito rebutted the government's claim. The three letters claimed to have been written by one of the Uyghurs were used to support his claim, indicating that they did not want to return to China. The Corrections Department believes, however, that the letters may have been fabricated, which eventually led to a war of words. As to why the lives of the 40 Uyghurs are of huge concern, how they may be treated in their homeland is one of the main reasons. This is Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region in the northwest of China, where about 11 million Uyghurs live, including in alleged internment camps where over 1 million people are reportedly detained. Amnesty International has documented systematic abuse by the Chinese government against Uyghurs in Xinjiang, especially in these camps. The Chinese government claims, however, that these camps are vocational and training centers. At the same time, many of the Uyghurs outside of these camps are reportedly under surveillance by government officials tracking their every move. Nowadays, the Uyghur community has spread across various regions around the world. According to the Uyghur Human Rights Project, most Uyghurs outside China, over 420,000 people, are located in Central and South Asia. At the same time, there are also Uyghurs living in the Middle East, Europe and East Asia, and North America as well. In East Asia, there are a fair number of Uyghurs, with Japan having the most, around 2,000 and 3,000 people. There are also roughly 1,000 Uyghurs in Mongolia, and very small groups of them live in Indonesia, Malaysia, South Korea, and Taiwan. As for Thailand, Amnesty International reported on its website that there were roughly 300 Uyghurs in Thailand who had fled from China. The 40 men who were recently deported are among the 300 Uyghurs arrested by Thai authorities in March 2014. 109 had already been deported. However, the number of Uyghurs in Thailand who are not in this group remains unknown. And in light of the global controversy, a seminar was held recently in Parliament where human rights activists, politicians, and experts discussed the ongoing struggles of the Uyghurs and what should have been done to protect these refugees. Let's find out more with Kittipat Sukhjit.
Many countries and rights groups have strongly criticized Thailand's decision for forcing the deportation of 40 Uyghurs from Thailand to China, saying it puts the Uyghurs in danger. So today we are at a special seminar called No One Left to Protect, where human rights activists, politicians, and experts are discussing about this issue. The seminar sheds light on the struggles of Uyghur families, the long-standing efforts of civil societies, and the future of those forcibly sent back to China. Speakers, including MPs and human rights defenders, said the deportations break international law and put Uyghurs at serious risk of persecution. A key moment was when Fair Party MP Arunee Srito showed a letter which he claimed to have come from one of the deported Uyghurs. Its authenticity is yet to be confirmed.
This is a distraction. So because the main idea is about voluntariness of the 40 Uyghurs. So we would like to see evidence to show about the voluntariness to return. This is the claim by the government. However, just so the letter that I have here is how can they verify that's a fake one? And because, it's a benefit of the doubt. So this is the law, right? So if anything not proved to be wrong, they cannot say that I have a fake one.
Thailand's deportation of the Uyghurs sparked global outrage. Many countries, the UN, and the Uyghur community condemned it as a human rights violation.
And they were seeking only safety and the dignity. Instead, they endured 11 years of detention in such a poor condition, overcrowded Thai immigration facilities under inhumane conditions, now only to be handed back to their persecutors. So this is a stain on Thailand's human rights record, and it's a betrayal of the global human rights system.
Meanwhile, the Chinese embassy in Bangkok criticized Western governments and human rights groups for having double standards. It said they condemned Thailand for sending Uyghurs back to China, but stayed silent when a Western country deported over 270,000 refugees. The embassy also showed the images of some of the deported Uyghurs being reunited with their families.
So they showed 3 Uyghurs out of 40. Where are the other 37? And the Uyghur region functions as an open-air prison where Uyghurs face mass imprisonment and the systematic repression, and the women are subject to forced sterilization, and reports indicate that Uyghur organs are forcibly being harvested. So given this well-documented reality, and it's even being documented in the UN Human Rights Council's report, so there is no reason to believe these individuals would be treated any differently.
Despite the criticism, the Thai government claims that the deportations followed human rights principles. Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra also claims that the Uyghurs were treated fairly and had agreed to return to China.
I think the government is now trying to whitewash its own wrongdoing by saying that sending the Uyghurs to China is the only option. It is not the only option. The government deliberately chose to send Uyghurs to China to please China. Are we, Thailand, a vassal state of China, or are we still independent that can do the right thing according to international law and international standards?
I think the Thai government, they act because they do not have any foreign policy. We do not have any direction from the foreign policy standard, point of view. So that's why whenever we have anyone come to Thailand, we just go with them, by them. Foreign policy for this Thai government is become like at least prioritize the policy from the government.
As Thailand now faces growing pressure to change its refugee policies, MPs and activists are demanding legal reforms to prevent future deportations.
So if we still do not have any proactive policy and procedure in dealing with refugee, we will do this kind of thing, like a responsive approach. We need to be more proactive approach in dealing with the refugee.
The only way to protect the remaining Uyghurs or any groups, any nationals who come to Thailand to seek protection is to pressure the Thai government to respect its own words. Thailand promised to the UN General Assembly very recently that time has changed. We are no longer under military rule. This is a new government. This is a democratically elected government that respects human rights. So respect its own words and prove by deeds, prove by actions, not empty promises.
Meanwhile, Thailand's Deputy Prime Minister, Foreign Minister, and Justice Minister will visit Xinjiang on March 18th to check whether the deported Uyghurs are safe, as China promised. Kittipat Suktit reported for Thai PBS World.
And that was the perspective of the human rights activists over the deportation of the 40 Uyghurs, with the international community condemning Thailand over its treatment of the Uyghurs. The national security expert analyzes what has gone wrong with the Thai government's handling of the situation, especially its lack of transparency.
Human rights violations, a key expression used in most public statements from the international community, criticizing Thailand for deporting 40 Uyghurs back to China last week. Many countries, including the United States, the United Kingdom, Germany, and Australia, have condemned Thailand for its decision, stating that this will put the lives of those Uyghurs at risk. Dr. Panithan Wattanayakon, an independent national security analyst, feels that Thailand is being heavily condemned because of their lack of transparency and their refusal to move them to other countries.
If done correctly, openly, transparently, I think the condemnation, the concerns, the protests could be lowered. In the end, it is regrettable to see that the Thai government mentioned that many of these countries refuse to take burden or to take these, people. So they have no choice but to return those to China. I think this is not good, in terms of relations between Thailand and these countries. So I think coordination between Thailand and those countries, particularly those countries who are very concerned about human rights, must be, working together more appropriately before any deportation is conducted.
In fact, concerns had been raised even before the Uyghurs were deported. Dr. Panithan expressed disappointment that there was no cooperation between the parties concerned and the government in order to settle these Uyghurs safely, despite being illegal immigrants.
Number one, the transparency. Domestically speaking, for days or weeks before the deportation, there were rumors, speculations suggesting that the remaining Uyghurs could be repatriated back to China. Since the beginning of the high-level visit, actually, weeks ago, before the deportation, worries have been raised in the parliament, worry has been raised in different countries, worry has been raised by the media and non-governmental organizations, particularly the agencies that are very much close and working with the relatives of these Uyghurs. I think it's very regrettable not seeing the cooperations domestically, among these parties of concern with the government.
The international criticism has put the Thai government in hot water, which triggered a war of words between Uyghur supporters and the government. One area of contention is the legitimacy of the letters claimed to have been written by the detained Uyghurs. In a way, Dr. Panithan feels that the issue became way too politicized.
I think we need to depoliticize the issues like this. Actually, they should work together in making sure that we observed, and follow the basic requirements of the immigration law. At the same time, simultaneously, we have to observe international commitments, agreements, and human rights concerns. In this case, also, it is quite important for not, politicizing the issue like this, because after all, it is a natural interest of the Thai people to make sure that they do not shoulder the burden. At the same time, they do not turn Thailand to be a country that turning away people, who seek better life, to seek safety for the loved ones, for themselves.
Regardless, Dr. Panithan suggests that Thailand should be more effective, efficient, and proactive in protecting the country's borders to prevent illegal immigrants entering, while also observing international rules for assisting refugees. Nad Bunag reporting for Thai PBS World.
And Dr. Panithan also thinks that the whole situation has been way too politicized. And now let's have a look at the other stories in our weekly roundup.
The Special Case Committee of the Department of Special Investigation has decided to investigate alleged money laundering related to the senatorial election held in June last year. The Deputy Prime Minister Phumtham Wechayachai explained that the committee's decision concerns only the alleged criminal offenses which fall under the DSI's jurisdiction, while the allegations of voting collusion remain under the purview of the Election Commission. Myanmar will send another group of 1,439 Chinese nationals who used to work in scam centers in Myanmar's Myawaddy border township to Masaw district of Thailand's Tak province for repatriation. They will then be flown back to China on 19 charter flights between Thursday and Sunday. The first group of Chinese nationals removed from scam centers in Myawaddy were flown back to China in February. The criminal court has ordered the detention of the 93 Thai nationals recently deported from Cambodia's Phoi Phet border town, pending the outcome of an investigation into their alleged involvement in scam activities. The Thais could face multiple charges, including being members of a transnational criminal network, criminal association, and defrauding the public for working for scam centers in Cambodia. The court has accepted a class action lawsuit filed against Jareun Pokapan Foods or CPF by a group of fishermen and fish farmers in Samut Songkhram province, demanding compensation of 2.5 billion baht for the damage caused by the spread of black-chin tilapia fish. The court agreed to accept the matter as a class action because many people have been affected.
Another huge scandal in Thailand this week is a drug theft scam exploiting Thailand's free healthcare benefits for civil servants. Reports reveal that over 100 people, including a high-ranking military officer, were behind the scheme, which recruited fake patients to obtain excessive medication for resale. Warisara Sahan explains how the scam was operated.
In Thailand, for some state officials, the Thai hospital system provides some benefits, allowing civil servants to get free treatments and medicines. Unfortunately, some state officials took advantage of this benefit and engaged in drug theft.
These videos were secretly recorded in a van as a group of officials taking part in the drug theft scheme traveled from Lopburi province to the War Veterans Hospital in Bangkok. Their aim is to get over prescribed free medicines. The fake patients were instructed to eat fatty food before their checkups and to report scripted symptoms. They earn a commission of at least 1,000 baht at the end of the trip. The scam came to the attention of the public and the authorities after People's Party PM Thanadet Pengsuk exposed the scandal on X. His posts revealed chat messages between network leaders, agents, and fake patients, detailing preparations for their medical examination and specific medicine requests.
ใครจะไปคิดว่าหมอจะบอกให้คนไข้กินข้าวขาหมูก่อนมาหามันไม่มีใครนึกออกอะแต่สุดท้ายก็มีคนกลุ่มหนึ่งที่คิดได้ว่าฉันจะเอายาพวกนี้ไปขาย
Reports suggest that 100 to 200 people are involved in this scheme. A colonel only identified as G, who is an alleged mastermind of the scheme, is accused of hiring agents to recruit state officials as patients.
พันเอกหญิงคนนี้จะไปหาแม่ทีมในจังหวัดลพบุรีก็จะไปหาทีมเท่าที่เราทราบตอนนี้มีทั้งหมด6ทีมทีมหนึ่งก็ประมาณ10 ถึง 20 คนทีมละ20 6ทีมก็120ทีเนี้ยเซ็นเตอร์ก็จะคอยบอกผ่านตัว A โอเครอบเนี้ยเอากลุ่มคุณเนี่ยไปหาหมอนะโดยที่มี10 คนใช่ไหมเป็นโรคอะไรบ้างเขาจะโน้ตมาให้เลยให้ไปคุยกับหมอว่าเป็นโรคอะไรบ้างอย่างเช่นถ้าต้องการยาเบาหวานเนี่ยเขาจะเลคคอมเมนต์ไว้ว่าพรุ่งนี้อย่าลืมกินขนมปังปิ้งกับนมสดนมข้นนะ
These people are entitled to the free medications provided to civil servants, including their parents, spouses, and children under 20. Government officials can access the medications at any state hospitals. The benefit also covers all cancers and chronic diseases. The benefit for civil servants is more privileged than other health schemes. Colonel G saw the loophole in this system.
มันก็จะมีคนกลุ่มหนึ่งที่เห็นช่องว่างของอันนี้ในการที่ไปเวียนหาหมอพบแพทย์อย่างเช่นสมมติว่าวันนี้คุณเดียเนี่ยไปหาที่โรงพยาบาลสมมติว่าโรงพยาบาลกอเสร็จปุ๊บคุณเดียต้องการที่เอายาไปขายวันพรุ่งนี้คุณเดียก็จะไปหาที่โรงพยาบาลขอเพราะว่าประวัติของโรงพยาบาลกอกับประวัติของโรงพยาบาลขอมันไม่ได้เชื่อมโยงกันร่วมกระบวนการตั้งแต่
เดชนิติตเหลืองงามขำ Director of the War Veterans Organization for the past 2 years, acknowledged that the scam exists.
ได้รับข้อมูลเอกสารพยานและหลักฐานเป็นไปแนวทางเดียวกันว่าเกิดเหตุเรื่องนี้มีผู้ที่เกี่ยวข้อง
It is believed that this drug theft scam has been operating for about 10 years. It directly affects the Controller General's department, causing hundreds of millions of baht of taxpayers' money.
เรื่องนี้มันเป็นความเสียหายมันเป็นการดึงเงินออกจากระบบรัฐโดยการดึงไปในรูปของตัวยากรมบัญชีการเนี่ยซึ่งมันต้องเข้ามาตรวจสอบหรือมีวิธีป้องกันที่มากกว่านี้ไม่งั้นเราจะสูญเสียไปกับเงินตัวนี้มันจะหายไปจากระบบโดยที่คนป่วยจริงๆไม่มียารักษา
Now, about 50 witnesses have come forward, willing to testify in the case. Thanadet hopes this case will push the government to take corruption more seriously.
ก็หวังเป็นอย่างยิ่งครับว่ารัฐบาลจะจริงจังในการแก้ปัญหาเรื่องคอร์รัปชันจะกล้าหาญในการที่จะเด็ดขาดกล้าหาญในการจัดการคนผิดแล้วก็เด็ดขาดในการตัดสินใจต่างๆ
Warisala Sehan reporting for Thai PBS World.
And tomorrow is International Women's Day, where we celebrate and acknowledge the achievements of women in every part of society. Despite improvements in gender equality, female workers are still facing difficulties such as unequal pay. On top of that, they still have a double burden to bear. It has been several decades since women led a strike to fight for their rights in the workplace. Thai PBS World spoke with a female Thai leader who has stood up for their rights since the days when women's voices were predominantly unheard.
These two storage units house the offices of the Thai Korean Community Complaint Center. Behind the glass doors are these women who have been working for the community for over 30 years. This is a place where cases of distress are resolved, led by Arunee Srito, an activist who works on female labor rights. At the age of 17, she began her career as a worker at the Thai Korean textile factory, where she confronted unequal pay and treatment, with no support from any worker organizations at all.
ตอนที่เป็นผู้นำเนี่ยป้าก็เจรจากับเจ้าของสถานประกอบการนะบอกผู้จัดการฉันเนี่ยทำเต็มที่แล้วนะแล้วก็ทำกับผู้ชายเนี่ยทำเหมือนกันฉันขยันกว่าเขาอีกอ่ะแต่เกรด A ฉันทำไม่ได้แค่เนี้ยเขาก็บอกว่าโอ้ลือเป็นผู้หญิงท่านเป็นคนจีนนะลือเป็นผู้หญิงเกรด A ผู้หญิงน้อยกว่าผู้ชายต้องเอาใจหน่อย
After that, there was a strike by female workers. The factory was affected as female workers had a direct role in production. So the factory later became more aware of their voices.
ผู้หญิงก็น้อยเนื้อต่ำใจมากเลยเขาบอกว่าเราไม่ทำแล้วเราหยุดเถอะคนงาน 2,000 กว่านะสมัยนั้นนะแล้วพิสูจน์ให้นายจ้างเห็นว่าพอผู้หญิงไม่ทำเนี่ยผลผลิตทุกอย่างหยุดชะงัก 100%หยุด 100% เพราะคนที่อยู่กับผลผลิตเนี่ยอยู่กับเครื่องจักรอยู่กับขบวนการผลิตเนี่ยคือแรงงานหญิง
Arunee began with small changes, starting by negotiating with the directors, supporting the establishment of the labor union, and eventually becoming its leader. Her efforts to call out injustices increased progressively until she was able to push for changes in policy, such as the implementation of 90-day maternity leave in 1993. In the photo album she keeps, many pictures show women at rallies, speaking in front of crowds, or sitting on committees. Moreover, there are pictures of Arunee standing face-to-face with the police and officials. She said that in the beginning, she was not ready and felt worried about working as an activist. She tried to learn from experience and overcome her fears, as she wanted to support others in society. For women, the duties doubled or more because they not only need to be responsible as workers, but also as mothers. The situation has not changed much over the last 3 decades.
ถ้าผู้หญิงคนหนึ่งมีลูกเนี่ยเราต้องถือว่าเขาเป็นคนพิเศษเพราะว่าเขากำลังสร้างพลเมืองในการมาขับเคลื่อนเศรษฐกิจประเทศชาติเจ้าของโรงงานเวลาผู้หญิงท้องเนี่ยมีความรู้สึกว่าเป็นภาระของโรงงานบางทีก็ไม่ค่อยจะให้ผู้หญิงท้องหรือไม่ก็ไปเลิกจ้างเลยรัฐบาลเนี่ยต้องมีนโยบายนี่คือส่งเสริมกันจริงๆส่งเสริมให้ผู้หญิงเนี่ยทำงานโอเคคุณทำงานแต่คุณจะได้รับการดูแลตั้งแต่ท้องขึ้นมาเลยมีสวัสดิการอะไรเสริมต้องให้เขาอะ
While they have dual roles, women's desire to have children tends to be discouraged. Arunee has highlighted many times that this is a loss for the future of everyone. In the bigger picture of her work and the changes over the years, Arunee said that women's participation, or the proportion of women in the working committee, is a bottleneck issue. Not only are women neglected in terms of opportunities and underestimated for the potential, but household chores, in particular, have become mandatory assignments for women. This is a scenario that is commonly seen and shaped by culture, according to Arunee. These factors impede female roles and remain a significant problem, even though it seems to be improving nowadays.
สัดส่วนของการมีส่วนร่วมของผู้หญิงเนี่ยเมื่อก่อนเนี่ยองค์กรแรงงานไม่ว่าสหภาพแรงงานไม่ว่าสภาแรงงานสหพันธ์แรงงานอะไรเนี่ยนะแม้กระทั่งไกรภาคีในกระทรวงแรงงานเนี่ยผู้หญิงมีสัดส่วนน้อยมากป้าอรุณีก็เลยบอกว่าเฮ้ยเราให้ผู้หญิงได้มีส่วนร่วมในการที่จะต้องแสดงความเห็นในระดับนโยบายมั่งสิฟังเสียงเขามั่ง
More importantly, she added, people of all genders and careers need to be informed and brave enough to speak up so that the support in the community is aligned and women's participation in navigating society can truly bring about change. Arunee suggested that for women, participation needs to be of a high quality as well, but there remain big challenges ahead.
เราต้องเข้าไปมีส่วนร่วมแบบมีคุณภาพแล้วในขณะที่มีคุณภาพเราก็ต้องให้เขายอมรับได้ว่าโอ้ผู้หญิงนายกเขาก็เป็นกันแล้วอธิบดีก็เป็นได้ปลัดก็เป็นได้รัฐมนตรีก็เป็นได้มหาดไทยในอนาคตก็อาจจะเป็นผู้หญิงใช่ไหมเราสามารถเป็นทุกหน้าที่ได้ในฐานะพลเมืองของไทยเราคือหุ้นส่วนครึ่งหนึ่งของประชากรที่ห่วงมากคือประเด็นเดียวคือไอ้ภาระของความเป็นผู้หญิงเนี่ยมันยังเยอะอยู่เนี่ยเราจะบรรเทากันยังไงในการที่จะให้ผู้หญิงไปสู่ความเข้มแข็งพัฒนาตนเองได้มีองค์ความรู้
In her office, awards, film certificates, and newspapers featuring her in the headlines are visible, showcasing just a part of her journey fighting for people. The room is filled with women who come and go throughout the day. They are Arunee's friends, who have been with her since she began her activism. Today, her office is a place where people from different genders, careers, and even nationalities come to seek help. Arunee's work continues to inspire many, as her fight for women's rights remains vital, reminding us all of the ongoing journey. Charinya Lim, reporting for Thai PBS World.
And women's rights must be addressed not only on International Women's Day, but every day. And that wraps up tonight's edition of This Week with Thai PBS World. Join us every Friday at 10:30 p.m. only on Thai PBS. And don't forget to follow us on social media and our website, thaipbsworld.com, for all the latest stories and analyses about Thailand. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week. สวัสดีค่ะ
ข่าวไทย PBS ข่าวที่คุณวางใจ